Governor Bago receives remaining rescued St. Mary's School students. 45 years later, Kano remembers the carnage of Maitasine. Away from Nigeria, clashes in DR Congo's Uvira after M23 promised to withdraw. Hello and welcome to News Update on Trust TV. I am Dorcas Yakubzala. Gunmen have abducted 28 travelers in Zak community. Bashar district was a local government area of Plateau State. The victims, included men, women, and children, were reportedly on their way to attend a Maulud event on Sunday night. Sapi Isambo, a local youth leader, said 2 princes and a religious leader were among those kidnapped. A traveler's vehicle was later found abandoned on the outskirts of the community, confirming the victims had been taken. Efforts to locate the kidnapped travelers have so far been unsuccessful, though security forces have been alerted. SP Alabo Alfred, spokesperson for the state police, confirmed that an investigation into the incident is ongoing. The Niger State Governor Gov Bago has received the remaining abducted students and staff of St. Mary's Catholic School, Papiri in Agwara local government area. The handover took place on Monday with the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, represented by Major General Adamulaka, formally returning the student to state authorities. Speaking at the event, Major General Laka said security agencies worked tirelessly since the abduction to ensure the safe rescue of the children, emphasizing the federal government's commitment to protecting every Nigerian child. Governor Bago expressed gratitude to President Bola Tinubu and the NSA for their swift and decisive actions that led to the successful return of the victims. Over 300 children, teachers, and staff were abducted from the Catholic school on November 21st, but with these handover, the remaining 130 have now been safely reunited with their families. A family gathering turned tragic in Delta State when a 47-year-old man allegedly killed his first cousin during a heated argument over the refund of a 1,000 naira contribution. The incident, which occurred on December 12, 2025 in Ugeli South, was confirmed by the spokesperson for the Delta State Police Command, SP Edafe Bright, in a video shared on X on Monday. According to Edafe, the family had recently returned from the burial of a relative and convened a meeting. The atmosphere, however, soured when a dispute broke out regarding a 1,000 naira contribution refund. The suspect described the death as accidental, expressing remorse and explaining that the deceased had tried to calm him. The case remains under investigation as authorities urge families to resolve conflicts peacefully. The federal government says its recent diplomatic tension with the United States involving threats of military intervention over alleged mass killings of Christians has been largely resolved. Minister of Information Muhammad Idris stated this at a year-end press conference in Abuja. He said Nigeria navigated complex international diplomacy in 2025 with maturity and principle. Idris also highlighted bilateral agreements with the United States aimed at boosting health care. He stressed that Nigeria is now a confident and strategic partner on the global stage, defending its national interests and attracting beneficial partnerships. The minister added that newly appointed ambassadors will assume duty in their countries in 2026 following National Assembly clearance, further strengthening Nigeria's bilateral relations and global engagements. The United States President Donald Trump has recalled Richard Mills, the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, as part of a major diplomatic shakeup affecting more than 24 American missions worldwide. Africa was the most impacted, with Nigeria among 15 countries whose envoys are being recalled, alongside nations including Algeria, Egypt, Rwanda, and Senegal. State Department officials say the ambassadors, initially appointed under the Biden administration, were informed last week that their tenures will end in January. While their roles as chiefs of mission conclude, they will retain their foreign service positions and may return to Washington for their assignments. Mills' recall comes amid ongoing efforts to strengthen U.S.-Nigeria relations, particularly on security cooperation, and follows his recent meeting with Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugar. The move is part of Trump's broader efforts to align U.S. diplomatic representation abroad with his America First foreign policy priorities. The National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu has said President Bola Tinubu is satisfied with the leadership of Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, describing the state as one of the most peaceful in the country. Ribadu spoke during a courtesy visit to the Rivers State Government House, where he led a presidential delegation to consolidate ongoing peace efforts in Ogoni land. He said a new chapter is unfolding in Ogoni, noting that President Tinubu directed him to thank Governor Fubara for his leadership and coordination on discussions surrounding the resumption of oil exploration. Ribadu also conveyed the president's appreciation to the Ogoni people for their patience and support. The Minister of Works, David Umahi, assured that key infrastructure projects, including sections of the East-West Road and flyovers in Ogoni land, will be completed by April next year, while designs are underway for the Boni-Bodo Road and the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway to pass through Ogoni. Governor Fubara thanked the president for his intervention, reaffirming his commitment to sustaining peace, rebuilding confidence, and ensuring development thrives in Rivers State. The Federal University of Education, Pangshin, has uncovered a certificate forgery syndicate allegedly producing fake certificates in the name of the institutions. The acting vice-chancellor, Professor Jere Ndazaga, disclosed this at a press conference in Jos, revealing that several forged certificates bearing the university's name were recovered during investigations. According to him, the syndicate was uncovered after a suspicious certificate was presented at the university's examinations and records section. The alertness of staff led to the involvement of the university's security, and the police, resulting in the arrest of 2 suspects. Professor Ndazaga said the suspects were found with numerous forged certificates and official embossed stamps of the institutions, and were later convicted and sentenced to 1.5 years imprisonment each. The Vice-Chancellor urged employers and public to verify academic credentials, stressing the university's commitment to protecting the integrity of education and calling on the public to report suspicious activities. The Governing Council of Kogi State Polytechnic, Lokoja, has terminated the appointment of 2 staff members over misconduct. Administrative Officer 2, Mukhtar Muhammad, was dismissed for sexual molestation, while Assistant Chief Executive Officer Fumilayo Afolabi was sacked for absconding from duty for 9 months. The council also approved the demotion. I beg your pardon, I'll take that line again. The council also approved the demotion of Deputy Registrar Audu Matthew for negligence, alongside the promotion of 11 principal lecturers to chief lecturers and hundreds of teaching and non-teaching staff for the 2024 and 2025 promotion exercises. The rector, Professor Salisu Ogbo Usman, highlighted the council's commitment to institutional growth and governance, while also revealing the uncovering of a result forgery syndicate. The council reiterated its dedication to discipline, transparency, and maintaining high academic standards at the Polytechnic. This is news update on Trust TV coming up after the break. 45 years later, Kano remembers the carnage of Metasine. This and many more when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back from the break. In case you're just joining, this is news update on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. We told you that 28 travelers kidnapped in Plateau community. And Governor Bago receives remaining rescued St. Mary's School students. Moving on to more stories. Imagine waking up in your house, but instead of the sound of the morning prayer or breakfast cooking, you hear gunshots. 45 years ago, this was a reality for Kano residents after a man named Metasine turned the city into a battlefield for 11 long days. By the time it was over, 4,000 people were dead. This is the story of how a neighbor became a nightmare.
Imagine waking up in your house, but instead of the sound of the morning prayer or breakfast cooking, you hear gunshots. 45 years ago, this was the reality for Kano residents after a man named Metasine turned the city into a battlefield for 11 long days. By the time it was over, 4,000 people were dead. This is the story of how a neighbor became a nightmare. Before the war, Metasine was just a man living in a neighborhood called Kogi. But Baba Habibu, who was there, says people knew something was wrong.
When Metasine returned to Kano, he built a house in Kogi. After that, I began to notice foreigners coming in, slowly at first, but their numbers grew. They carried weapons and we saw them being brought in at night and even during the day. We didn't know what they were planning, but the fear in the community kept rising. He built right across the neighbor's water path and people came to me with complaints. Since I was the elder, I went to him myself and asked why he did it. He just laughed and said, "Who will stop me?" I told him no one. We gathered and decided to take the matter to the governor. Later, the Commissioner for Special Duties came, saw with his own eyes, and confirmed that Metasine was troubling us. Things only got worse. One day, Metasine came with his followers and even police saying I was wanted in Jakara. They took me and 4 other elders. The only elder left went to the State Assembly and demanded answers. Then the Speaker called and ordered our release.
Long before, the then Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sunusi I, chased Metasine away because of his radical teachings and extreme religious beliefs. But when he was gone, Metasine slipped back into Kano and started gathering followers, telling them that anyone who didn't follow him was an enemy of Islam. Hajia Atine lived right behind Metasine's house. She remembers when the teacher stopped being a neighbor and became a monster.
At first, he was our neighbor. He had a school and we thought he was teaching the Quran, but it wasn't so. Our house faced the back of his house. When our husband gave out alms, he would give it to him first. He treated him well, but this didn't stop him from troubling us. Sometimes he would block the road and trouble us. Sometimes they would prevent people from entering or leaving. Even going to the mosque, they troubled us a lot. My husband got tired of it because if you reported him, you'd be arrested. So he decided to leave the house and we moved.
On December 18, 1980, the police went to stop Metasine from preaching his bad messages. They thought it would be a simple arrest. They were wrong. Thousands of Metasine's followers jumped out from everywhere, firing guns and slashing with sharp knives, axes and arrows. They killed 4 policemen and burned their vans. The police had to run away along with other residents.
The problem started when Metasine's son Tijani, whom we called Kanaana, was killed after a dispute over a woman. Tijani was wealthy and when he took her, the other man fought back. Tijani was stabbed and though he was rushed to the hospital, he died that same night. That night, I was the second person arrested. I was simply at my shop doing my work when they came for me. The man accused of killing Tijani was also killed because he was one of Metasine's students. Metasine asked me over and over who killed his son. I told him I didn't know. I was just 31 years old then, just trying to live my life. One day, one of Tijani's friends came to greet Meitasine and left. Meitasine didn't know him, but his followers did. They told him who the man was, and Meitasine ordered that he be brought dead or alive. The man fled as if he knew what was coming. Then Meitasine declared that the community leaders had paid money to kill his son. In the end, he let me go, but from that moment, we all knew the threat of revenge was hanging over us.
During these 11 days, many women were treated very badly and hurt by these men. It was a time of great shame and pain that people still find hard to talk about today. The army finally came and stopped the war. Meitasine was killed, but the pain he left stayed behind.
Ina matan wane sai muka ce ga mu to gashi na kashe shi.
All the houses close to his were empty, so they broke into them and stole everything. We went inside, and within 4 hours, Meitasine came back with our husband's watch and cap. He asked where his wives were, and we said we were there. He said he has killed him. We cried, and he shouted at us. He put us in a room upstairs, like a wood storage room. It was dark and crowded with people from the neighborhood. We had nothing to do but cook. We couldn't pray because they didn't pray. They would bring food for us to cook, sometimes shooting guns near us. I had eyes problem from the darkness and stress. Another woman had hearing problems. My co-wife's half-body was paralyzed. He abused us a lot.
Today, 45 years later, experts say we have to be careful. Even though Meitasine is gone, there are still people who try to use religion to make people hate each other. 45 years later, we do not just remember the 4,000 who fell. We look at the Kano of 2025 and ask, have we truly learned how to spot the teacher before he becomes the monster once again?
In other news, as Nigerians mark the Yuletide season with celebrations, a troubling trend is rising alongside the festivities: the growing activities of loan sharks. Online advertisements and instant loan offers are flooding phones and social media platforms, drawing many unsuspecting Nigerians into financial traps that often end in threats and intimidation. The report.
Christmas is a season of joy, marked by travel, shopping, and generous spending. But for many Nigerians grappling with economic hardship, the pressure to meet festive expenses has led to an increase in borrowing. Across the country, citizens are bombarded with loan offers through text messages, phone calls, and social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram. These messages promise quick cash to cover personal expenses. However, behind the attractive offers are short repayment periods and extremely high interest rates. Many borrowers say they are often unaware of the full terms and conditions until repayment is due, by which time their debts have increased significantly.
For me, it's like they are using it to help some people, but the time that I used to give somebody is too low. Like, let government tell them so that they will register this thing, so that they will use it to help people. You know, when somebody need that money, when he take it immediately, sometimes there's like money is not somebody will not have money.
If they know their home address or their Apple address or anything inside the phone number, they can contact them to return the money back, and they will not borrow them again if they know say they don't meet up the time to return the money. They are helping people for that one. As they help you, help them back to pay back the money. That is the special this thing that you can do.
Most time they are helping people, but the rate and the way they do to people is what is bad in there. Because if you cannot pay, they have the right to call you personally and talk to you. But most of them, they will blackmail you, call people you don't know, call your friends, or maybe the 4-2 number they know about your number. They start calling the person, telling the person they should go and look for you, that you are this, you are that. So that's just the problem there. Most times they normally help, but at the end, if you have just a little issue with them, that's where it is not good at all.
When you borrow 5,000 naira now, they can tell you to pay 4,500 as interest, or 9,000, 8,000 as interest. So if it is a help they are rendering to the society, when you borrow 5,000, if they put 1,000 naira on it, it's not too much, but they will put an interest whereby even you yourself, if you have that money, you will not even borrow that money.
Residents who spoke to Trust Television expressed concern that while online loan apps claim to offer financial help, they often operate solely for their own interests and not for the economic growth of the country. Borrowers lament high interest rates, harassment, intimidation, and alleged blackmail of defaulters. As the festive season continues, Nigerians are being advised to live within their means. With economic hardship deepening, experts warn that borrowing from unregistered online loan apps can worsen financial strain. They urge individuals who may not be financially capable of repaying loans when due to refrain from borrowing in order to avoid debt traps and public embarrassment.
And now in business, gold prices shot to a second high on Monday as investors grew increasingly optimistic that the U.S. Federal Reserve will continue to cut interest rates through next year. The precious metal hit a peak of $4,383.76 in early trade as a string of data last week pointing to further weakness in the U.S. labor market and easing inflation gave the central bank room to ease monetary policy further. Monday's gain pushed the commodity past its previous high of $4,381.52 touched in October. Away from Nigeria, clashes have erupted near Uvira in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo between the M23 group and the pro-government militia, despite an earlier promise by the rebels to withdraw from the city. Local sources say gunfire broke out on Monday between M23 fighters and the Wazalendo militia and shots heard across Uvira. The Rwanda-backed M23 had seized the strategic border city earlier this month, shortly after Congo and Rwanda signed a U.S.-brokered peace deal. However, Washington has since accused Rwanda of violating the agreement. Although M23 leader Colonel Nanga announced a unilateral withdrawal, residents and security sources report that fighters remained behind. The clashes forced residents indoors, paralyzing activities, and fighting spread to surrounding hills and neighborhoods. Congolese authorities have dismissed the withdrawal pledge as a media stunt, accusing M23 of redeploying around the city. And now in sports, Super Eagles captain Wilfred Ndidi has declared the team ready for their opening fixture against Tanzania at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. Coach Eric Chell's squad has enjoyed a smooth build-up with all 28 players available for selection. The three-time champions have lost only once in their last 14 AFCON group stage games, making them clear favorites against the Taifa Stars. Ndidi believes a positive start will set the momentum for the rest of the tournament. The 29-year-old recently appointed team captain following William Truss Ekong's retirement missed the previous AFCON due to injury but was part of Nigeria's squads to the 2019 and 2021 finals. And that's a wrap on news update. Do well to follow us across all social media platforms for more programs, news and documentaries. I am Dr. Yakubuzala. Thank you for watching.